DuckTalks is part of Res TV's network of podcasts. Check out res.tv for other great podcasts.
Not even 1 hour in, and your stupid Only Child Day has already almost gotten one of us killed.
Only what now?
It's a beautiful holiday
That he made up.
where for a whole day we get to be sibling-free and do all the amazing things that an only child gets to do. Make our marks on the world, not have to answer to anyone.
Be horribly alone.
For once!
It's the week of Monday, July 2nd, and you're listening to episode 30 of Duck Talks. We've got a fun night in store, that is for sure. We got a lot to talk about, as always, and I'm going to quit saying that eventually, but it's always true. Hey, I'm one of your hosts. My name's Mitch.
Ahoy there, Duckburg. This is Pirate Steven.
Hey guys, this is Josh. Woohoo!
We're here to talk about some DuckTales on our 30th episode. Man, it's kind of hard to believe we've made it to 30.
I know. 30 is definitely a milestone. I was just mentioning that I feel like this is like the cupcakes episode. I think some kind of cake, punch pie, or a DuckTales cupcakes are an honor for 30 episodes.
We should have definitely coordinated something like that where we all could have had a piece of cake while we were doing the podcast.
Then our mouths will be full. We'll be like eating cake and DuckTales, like that.
It'd be awesome.
Might be an improvement.
I mean, just thinking about that cake right now would be perfect. But we don't. Maybe we'll do that on the 50th, which will be there soon. We were talking about it. It's not going to be long. We will have been recording for a year, even though we won't have 52 episodes because we missed a few here or there. But for the most part, we were here throughout the hiatus. But you know what? We never ran out of things to talk about. And tonight we have plenty to talk about. So let's jump into an email. We actually did get a few emails, but I've got one we're going to read and discuss because it has to do with the episode of DuckTales that aired this week. Dear Mitch, Josh, and Steven, do you think Doofus's brattiness will cause him to get into the Junior Woodchucks and be a sweet, loving kid? That's my theory. Sincerely, Holden.
Holden, that's a nice theory. However, I feel like Doofus has kind of ruined himself from all the money and being spoiled. I don't know when the next time we'll see him. I'm glad they got the Doofus episode in there. I don't see him as being a regular. I would love to see another Junior Woodchuck episode, though.
Yeah, it feels like it's going to be more of a villain. I don't know if they're going to twist that another way and kind of redeem him on that, but he does feel like he's more of a villain that's out for himself. So I don't see him like want to be part of a group when he's kind of like focused on like himself, I guess.
I would love to see, and if anybody in the DuckTales crew is hearing this, they can totally take this idea. Pirate Steven approves. If for Scrooge McDuck's birthday next year, they throw another party for him, and Louis invites him as one of the guests, as another one of the distinguished, because they forgot that he doesn't like parties again, so they throw him another one.
I had 1 hour.
And Doofus gets invited.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I don't see Doofus becoming a woodchuck unless he does it to try and get back at the nephews. They did wreck his house, spoilers. So maybe he does try to find a way, but I don't really know that this character thinks that far ahead. He didn't seem like the type to plot. Maybe I do expect him to show up again, but I'm not sure that we'll see him as a woodchuck. But if anything could rehabilitate Doofus Drake, it's the woodchucks.
Well, the woodchucks. Oh wait, this is going into spoiler territory, so maybe I'll lay off of that.
Well, we have said spoilers a few times. This episode, it comes out a few days after the episode of DuckTales that we're discussing, so you should expect some spoilers. If you've not seen it, maybe, if you're live in the chat, sorry. If you're listening to this as a recording, you should pause it, go watch the episode, then come back. Go ahead, Josh.
Okay, well, I was going to say, if they could redeem some of the Beagle Boys in the Woodchucks, maybe they could maybe they can accept Doofus.
So Holden, we appreciate your email. And like I said, to those who we're not going to talk about, to those who sent us emails that we're not going to read tonight, well, we will reach back out to you. So thanks for sending those. We also want to thank everyone who's been sending us fan art. That's been it's been exciting for me because that's something that I wanted us to do. I've always enjoyed growing up in the age of the internet. Not really growing up. I guess I was already a teenager. But anyway, all those times, all those fan sites that I was able to be involved with when people would do fan art and you'd have those weekly posts or maybe bi-weekly posts of just a collection of fan art so that you could find artists online and find where to find them. We want to do that for the DuckTales community. We know you're on Reddit. We know you're in all these other places. We just want to feature you. So we've already had a few people submit some art. And like to encourage you, I'm going to post the blog with the fan art on Wednesday of this week. So if you're hearing this, probably cutting a little bit close. If you get it to me before I actually post the blog, I'll make sure it gets in there. But otherwise, if you send me something, it'll be in the next one. I don't know yet whether it'll be a weekly thing. Depends on how many we get and how often we get them. But send those. I'm looking forward to sharing them with you. I've really enjoyed getting the ones that we've been sent so far. All right.
I think that's great because it will encourage you to work on that comic strip for DuckTalks that you said you were going to do.
Well, I've got some ideas floating out there. The hardest part for me is coming up with the idea of the comic strip, and then I'm still learning how to do digital art. So I've drawn a few of these and sketched them out, but actually getting them on my computer has been the hardest part. And I've not had as much free time as I thought I would have. Once I work that out, it's definitely a project that I want to work on. I think you've seen, if you follow me on Twitter, because I don't fill up the DuckTalks Twitter with my own fan art, but you'll see that I sketch a lot at work, and me and the girls like to draw. So it's something I enjoy and hope to get to, and that's why I enjoy seeing everyone else's fan art too. We're going to jump into news, but before we do that, let's take a moment just to recognize those who are with us while we record this episode of the podcast live. So we've got Eric has joined us. Glad to see that you made it. Sorry to spring it on you. Casey's in the chat. Welcome back. We've got Kahuna Potato, Pink Pearl Apple, and Rocket Usagi. I want to thank y'all for joining us again. Let's jump into that news now. First thing we have on our notes for this week was that exclusive clip that IGN dropped last week with the upcoming episode of DuckTales, the case files, I've got it here, the case files of Agent 22, the next episode of DuckTales to air on the Disney Channel this coming Saturday. And we've got our first promo from the episode, and it came to us from IGN. There were more than a few surprises. Now, I know the big one everyone's waiting for, but I'm going to get to that in a moment because my mouth dropped when I heard foul, when Scrooge mentions foul. So for those who haven't seen the clip, you can go to DuckTalks.com, and we've got a link to the clip so you can get there and watch it. But it shows a clip of the next episode that has Scrooge and Miss Beakley from the past engaging in some spy stuff, and Scrooge name drops Fowl.
So Fowl is from Darkwing Duck. It's like the main villain that Shush goes against, and makes me wonder if Mrs. Beakley is secretly working for Shush.
I'm hoping we get some of those answers in this episode. We've seen Shush in DuckTales 2017 in the Darkwing Duck clip. So it was from the beginning of an episode of DuckTales, showed the beginning of an episode of Darkwing Duck that is in universe that Launchpad is a fan of. And there was a billboard, and we actually have I think, Pirate, you did a blog at DuckTalks.com about this Easter egg, that there was a billboard in the background that actually had Shush on it.
Yeah, that was one of the hidden Easter eggs from that episode. Pretty cool foreshadowing.
and it had Grizzly Cough on it.
Yes, it did. And I believe that building, if you looked at the building that the billboard was on top of, it looks a lot like Shush's office headquarters from the Darkwing Duck show.
I'll have to go back and look at that.
I hope that means that it's like confirming that it's somehow intertwined in this DuckTales universe.
Well,
Darkwing is, anyway.
So I've got a little fan theory here, and I've not seen this online anywhere. I've not been looking for this, but so I think Shush may be hiding in plain sight. Like, they've endorsed this television show and maybe used to sway public opinion into believing they couldn't exist or something, because it's too outlandish. Maybe Darkwing Duck's kind of the same way. Maybe he does exist, but the show was to make everyone think that it's just a show. I don't know. Maybe.
I feel like the vultures are Scrooge McDuck's money consultants. I feel like they are from Fall.
Going to pull a Hydra?
Yeah.
From Captain America?
I think they are definitely Hydra. And it's going to be a fun takeover. I can't wait for those episodes. Maybe that'll be season 2. I feel like season 1 is the Magica season, and season 2 maybe will be Fall.
Yeah, maybe we'll get some foreshadowing at the end of the season that will lead us to believe that something big is going to happen, and then we've got another hiatus.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, hopefully Steelbeak will get in there when they introduce Fowl even more.
Oh,
he seems like
man.
getting pretty well. And
he would be perfect for this show. Steelbeak's one of my favorite Darkwing villains. So much fun. So,
yeah,
all right.
I felt like the episode, the Great Dime Chase, when they were showing the commercial with the brothers that are roosters, and they. I feel like that would be a good design for Steelbeak, because they've already made roosters in this universe.
Ooh, Steelbeak.
And I'm trying to picture their voice. Their voice probably wasn't too far off either. But as interesting as that is for us as huge Darkwing fans, there's another segment of Disney Afternoon fans who were probably more excited about some images that were on what was it, a tablet or a scroll? There was some sort of paper with a formula for a secret. What was a formula for something? We don't really know what it was.
It's a page from the Great Book of Gummi. That's the where they have the recipe for gummy berry juice and all the secrets. So that I believe that's what they were auctioning off at that point.
Yeah, and there were some images that have some characters that are 100% Gummi Bears. Like, they're not even a reboot of them. It looks just like them.
Yeah. Down to the clothes and everything.
Yeah, and I know all of us freaked out about it. We even tweeted at the same time in the same account about the Gummi Bears, and I think that is fantastic. That's not something I was expecting. I was expecting to see other shows, Disney Afternoon shows before that one, and that just tickled me pink. I loved it. I thought it was great.
I loved the Gummi Bears growing up. It was one of my favorites in the Disney Afternoon.
The theme song is great.
Gummi Bears here and there and everywhere.
Well, one of the cool things that Frank said, frankly speaking, on Twitter, he said, there's so much crazy stuff in this episode, and it's key to a lot of what we're doing and how we approach the world of our show. And he didn't put world in quotation marks. I'm just saying it like there is. And then
because that's how we read it.
In other words, this is more than just an Easter egg.
100%.
Yeah, and that's exciting for me. There's people that remember this show too a lot from Disney. I remember one time I made a trip to Disney Interactive, and I was going around their studio, I guess doing a tour, and as I was walking around, there was a area where there were people who were working and a TV up, and they were actually watching episodes of Gummi Bears while at work at Disney. It was so funny. I was like, oh my god, people actually remember this show, and now like a reference in this is just so awesome.
I know, but it's like, what's next? Is Wuzzles going to be next, or are we going to get some bonkers or gargoyles or something? I mean, it's pretty exciting, and like I feel like the moment I saw Gummi Bears is the actual moment where I started to rank the new show over my beloved DuckTales 87.
Yeah, you actually sent us a direct message saying that right after we realized that both of us had tweeted it.
Yeah, and that's a big statement for me because the DuckTales 87 is just classic, and that's my whole childhood universe. But the fact that they're bringing it all to,
because they were separate.
Yeah, those are the standalone Marvel movies, and now we're at the Avengers level where all of the Disney afternoon characters are hanging out together, and I love that.
Yes, please give me crossover episodes once the other shows come out.
I think they'll introduce them here. I think it'll be interesting to see if we start to see, shows spring off of DuckTales. I think there are a lot of people watching. I mean, the show's very popular. The merchandise is moving. I think Disney's got something here. If they jump on it, I think they are. So that's great.
I would have to agree with that, at least for a Darkwing Duck one. Just from going from what it seems like just things that Jim Cummins has said online and on Twitter about being busy and excited about things. I know the Christopher Robin movie's coming out, but him getting Darkwing Duck going again would be killer for him.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
He also voices Pete in a lot of things as well, even in the upcoming Legend of the Three Caballeros.
Yeah, he's on there for the Mickey Mouse Roadsters. He does a few characters there. He's still doing a lot of work with Disney.
Yeah, I mean, he'll be in the Don Carnage. He'll do that voice when that episode airs later this month.
Coming up soon. We're actually about to talk about that. That's a good segue. Let's just jump into it.
See, I'm not winging the show. I know when my edit.
You've got the notes open, don't you?
True. It's on my phone.
So we already talked about it a little bit. The next episode of DuckTales to air, and we're moving throughout the news. This is a blog that we posted last week. The few of the episode titles and descriptions were up, so we went ahead and jumped on that to share them. We know not everyone checks that site every other day like we do, so we wanted to make sure they were out there for you to find. And episode 118, production order 118, is the confidential case files of Agent 22. It's going to air this weekend. That's Saturday the 7th at 9:30 a.m. And here's the description. Webby learns how Scrooge and Miss Beakley first met while she helped Scrooge rescue her granny from the clutches of rival spy Black Heron. We've talked about this a few times on this podcast. I love spies. You guys know Chuck was my all-time favorite show ever, live action. And I just love anything spies. And so this episode could quite possibly be my favorite episode. And I've not even seen it yet.
That's a good statement. And we've also seen previews. It's very Webby centric, with Webby hanging out, doing one-on-one hanging out with Scrooge. So that's awesome. And also you guys don't notice, but number 22 is my lucky and favorite number in this whole world. So maybe I'll become a huge Miss Beakley fan after this.
This is the episode, judging from the promo, this should be the episode that has the scene that we looked at in a previous episode of our podcast, where Webby was swinging into a lake full of dead fish. We're finally going to find out what that was all about. Episode 119 is Sky Pirates in the Sky. I love that title because it's redundant. I feel like I talk in redundancy a lot, so I can appreciate it. The description says, feeling ignored, Dewey finds a new family, A band of singing and dancing pirates looking to rob Scrooge blind. Again, for me, that description is a win, because as excited as I was for Sky Pirates or Air Pirates and Don Carnage, I'm twice as excited to hear that they sing and dance, because if anyone sings and dances, it's Don Carnage, right?
Oh yeah, he's a singer.
Yeah.
Jim Cummins does great singing voices, so it'll be great seeing him on the screen again.
Now, this episode does not have an air date on the Disney ABC website. So even though in production it comes after Confidential Case Files of Agent 22, we do not know when it will air, because on the 14th is another episode and the 21st has another episode. Now, I can't remember. It's been a few weeks ago on IMDb we found that Sky Pirates in the Sky was scheduled to air on a Friday evening. That's since been taken down last time I checked, but because this doesn't have a date that it's supposed to air, I'm wondering if that could still be true, if this episode is actually going to air prime time. And I think if there were an episode left other than the finale, this probably the one that I would pick to air at prime time. But I wanted us to cover it in this order because it's the production order. But let's throw that out the window, because let's jump to the next episode we'll see on our television or tablet. Production order 121 is Who is Gizmo Duck? And it's currently scheduled to air on July 14th. As Fenton figures out how to be a hero, Mark Beeks offers to hire Gizmo Duck and help him defend all of Duckburg.
My kids are really looking forward to that one. They saw me pull up the show notes and saw all of the descriptions of all the shows, and they love the Mark Beeks episodes, and especially the Buddy System episode. I don't know how many times they've seen it, but they're definitely looking forward to some more Gizmo Duck action.
Like, I'm looking forward to more Gizmo Duck action.
Yeah, it feels like it's been a while at this point. I can't wait to get some more Gizmo Duck.
Do you think we're going to be seeing Mama in this episode?
That has been confirmed on Twitter or Tumblr. I'm trying to remember exactly what was said, but Frank Angona has answered someone. They asked if Fenton would say something. What was the question? Something was asked about Fenton, and he said if he doesn't do it, his mother will. So I think we can take that as confirmation that she's going to show up in that episode.
Yeah, because according to IMDb, I think that's the last Gizmo Duck-centric episode of the season. I'm sure he'll be in the second season. So if there's an episode to get Mama in there, it would be this one.
There was Pirate Steven. Would Rob Paulson, do you say his name Paulson? Yakko. Rob Paulson? Yeah, okay. Would Rob Paulson still voice Steelbeak? He was asking, we were talking about Steelbeak earlier, and so Casey's asking if we think Rob should voice him, and I think absolutely.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, the Quacker Jack was voiced by the original, and of course Liquidator wasn't, and Megavolt wasn't. But yeah, I would say this. And Jim Cummins is really good friends with Rob Paulson. He talks about it a lot on Twitter, and he was recently. Jim was on a show with Rob, and they did a really funny. If you should try to catch it out there, of Darkwing Duck was reading, or Jim Cummins was reading a Batman script as Darkwing Duck was Batman. It was really funny and well done.
Eric said they had a song in the pilot of Tailspin. Was some of the... Oh, I got what you're saying. So there was... The first episode of Tailspin had that song where Baloo's singing and Louie's. Oh, the Pirates did. Pirates had a song. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, talking about the musical episode with Dewey. Yeah, I expect this to be a musical episode. I think they'll do that. Yeah, Pink Pearl Apple. We're going to talk about the book a little bit later. We're excited about that too. Pirate, did you pre-order Solving Mysteries, Rewriting Histories, or History?
Yeah, I got in on a early pre-order for that from Amazon. It's supposed to be delivered tomorrow. It was only like $8.33 or something, really cheap like that. I think the retail is $12.99.
Yeah, we'll talk about it a little bit more when we get to Duck merch. Woo! All right, so looking at July the 21st, we will have The Other Ben of Scrooge McDuck. Now, this episode is going to set up for the finale, I believe. Here's the description. Lena's loyalties are tested when Magica forces her to lead Webby on a raid to a facility full of Scrooge's most dangerous artifacts to find his number one dime.
Is this the last episode of the season, or is there more?
No, there are more. Yeah, I think this is just kind of setting up those final episodes.
Okay.
Because that's the 20th episode, production-wise. And there are, I can't remember, it's 21 or 22 episodes, and I don't remember if that's counting splitting the finale. The season finale is, a double episode. It's 44 minutes. So I don't know if we're missing one episode here or just the finale. But that puts us, I know we're going into August. Let me pull it up. I've got it here somewhere. You would ask me that.
And it looks like you said that one is episode 20, and then Who is Gizmo Duck is actually episode 21, but it's airing before.
Yes, based on Disney ABC's website. Our chat's got me taken care of. So I'm just looking back. So Kahuna Potato said Last Crash. And then Pink Pearl Apple says The Last Crash of the Sun Chaser and Secret of Castle McDuck are two episodes that are not on this list. They're not. The descriptions aren't officially out there yet. We don't know a ton about them. It's believed they're both going to be Della episodes. Should have some ties to that story. So maybe we're going to set things up for the Magica storyline, or we're going to set things up for the Della storyline, and maybe all that's going to come together, which would be kind of unexpected. We had wondered if they would do that, or if we would see, we'd get closure to one and not the other.
Yeah, it seems like they're building up to Magica, and they kind of left alone the whole Della storyline. I think the only thing was that they were like one episode looking for her, but there wasn't really had been a whole lot about Della, and hopefully they'll bring that up in those episodes, because I would like to kind of bring that back into this season.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely coming, and we're going to go into the beginning of August with new episodes of DuckTales. The show will end sometime in August, or the season will end sometime in August. We know season 2 will be right behind it. Pink Pearl Apple's talking about the fact that Scrooge McDuck's parents are supposed to be in the Clan McDuck episode, and I'm looking forward to that. There are some possible descriptions floating around online. So far, their sources have turned out to be okay. They've gone along with what we've ended up seeing on the official channels, but it sounds like it's going to be good.
There's a original DuckTales episode where I don't remember the exact name of it, but I think it does deal with like Castle McDuck, and they go to the place, and it's like haunted by a werewolf or like a ghost wolf or something like that.
Yeah, I remember that episode. I think that's a 2-parter too.
Yeah, I don't wonder if it's going to reference to anything on that, or if it's going to be its own thing.
Yeah, I feel like on IMDb I feel like Fergus McDuck is is listed as being in 2 episodes. So don't know. I mean, that sounds like the episodes he would be in, or one of them.
Maybe he shows up at the end of Last Crash, the episode. I know I've seen some chatter on Reddit that people are afraid what might happen to Launchpad in that episode. But it could also be, referring to something about Della, maybe something that happened in that plane, maybe, connecting back to the Spear of Selene. Next on our list for the news, one of those stories that, I don't know, we talked about this once before, and I actually cut a lot of my grievances out of that episode because I didn't want to spend a lot of time on something negative. But in looking for some information, I came across something that I think that, as a fan community, we need to talk about, and there needs to be a conversation about it, I think. So on iTunes, if you remember, when I came back from my Walt Disney World trip, I found that my season pass for DuckTales had not automatically downloaded the latest episode. And when I got to searching, I found that was because my season pass was now labeled Volume 1, and there was a Volume 2, and they split the season into 2 volumes, both of which being $30. Now, I didn't pay $30 for my first season, so I'm not like irate. I see some people online who are irate about it. But it does seem like $60 for the first season digitally seems like a pretty hefty price tag. I'm not going to pay $30 for the second half. I haven't yet. I'll wait until I catch it on sale. But that's not why I'm bringing it back up, not just airing my grievances. But I noticed that the reviews for the show, at least for Volume 2, are really low. About half of the reviews, there's only 32 ratings for Volume 2 of DuckTales on iTunes, but half of those are 1 star. And when you go and when you scroll through and you look at them, it says too much for half a season. This is insane. I bought Volume 1 season pass. I'm not buying it this time. That's too much per episode. Sorry, Apple, you're going to miss this sale. How about no? Just people that feel like I did. I did not realize I was buying half a season when I bought what is now labeled Volume 1. I can't say for certain whether or not it was labeled Volume 1 when I bought it. I didn't think it was because I was really caught off guard by it. But there's a lot of very negative reviews on the show. The show doesn't deserve negative views. The show's great, and all the people that did, give a good review are talking about the show and not the actual way the episodes have been structured on iTunes. Now, I also checked Amazon to see if this was an issue at Amazon. I don't know if you guys remember, but I did purchase the season pass on Amazon for Volume 2 because it was on sale for only $2.99. When I looked at Amazon's reviews, they're really mixed up. There are reviews for the 87 show in there. There's reviews for the reboot. There's reviews for all kinds of stuff. It's just all mixed up. So it's not an issue there for the show. But I would think having such a low rating on iTunes would be bad for the show.
Yeah, but then you throw Gummi Bears in the mix and everything's all better.
I don't really mind that they...
Yeah, Eric says he's pretty sure that it's not Apple. It's not, because other outlets have also divided it up into Volume 2. It's not only on Apple, but that's where I get my content, so that's where I noticed it.
Yeah, I don't really mind that they've split up the season so much, but I do feel that if, and this goes with all the retailers, if they had sold a season 1 pass, I feel like that they should have provided the second volume, because that's something they decided later on to split up. When I think of a season pass of season 1, and it should include all of the episodes. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like after kind of thought that they split it up, and that's fine, but they should have honored that, I think, for the customers, and I think that would have kind of appeased the reviewers at that point.
I agree. Looking through the reviews, I came across one individual who posted exactly what you're talking about, and their review title says "Contact Apple." So they say "Contact Apple now." I'm not going to read the review completely, but you can contact Apple and talk with them about this, and they are doing something for people that feel like they were, they didn't know that they were only buying half the season. And there is something they're doing. They're at least for the people who are talking about it on Apple's review page, they are refunding for the episodes you're not going to get. Now, they don't talk dollar figures as far as what that means and what you're going to get back. But if you feel, like I said, I honestly don't think that when I bought it, I thought I was getting a season pass. I didn't think I was getting volume 1. So if you feel that way, you may contact Apple. They may work something out with you. And, if you get a little bit back, maybe that means you're okay with buying volume 2 at that point, and you can get the full season. I will expect this for season 2 of DuckTales. And I'll shop accordingly. Like I said, I don't like talking about stuff like that, but I know a lot of people who don't have the Disney Channel. I actually talked with someone this past Sunday at a community event. The guy walked by and he had a Dipper hat on from Gravity Falls. And Lexi and I were talking with him about it, and he was like, "You're like the second person who actually knew what this was." And so we got talking about animation, and I was telling him about DuckTales. He's like, "I haven't seen it yet because I don't have cable." And so we were talking, and I told him about Amazon having the season, marked down and everything. So they were going to check it out. But, people get their content different ways now. And if you're planning on purchasing a $30 or $40 season pass for a show, and the next thing you know, that price is going to double, puts a bad taste in your mouth, and it leads to bad reviews. And I don't want the show to have bad reviews. So if you're one of those that feel like you were treated unfairly by that, then contact your provider and see if there's anything they're doing. That's all we're going to say about that. Unless you guys have anything to say. Because you know me, I'm probably going to cut all that out anyway. I don't want to be a downer. All right.
Now that you got it out of your system, you're just going to delete it.
You all were here for that. No, I will leave it because I think, if someone felt wronged by it, they should contact Apple. Or I don't have any gruff with Amazon because it was $3 to get the second volume. If they marked it down to $10, I'd buy it and I wouldn't feel bad. I only paid $10 for the first volume, so I'm not upset. I just realize there's a lot of people who are. Let's get back on a positive note. Let's talk about some Duck merch because there's a lot of Duck merch to talk about.
We got Duck merch. Woo-hoo.
There's a lot of Duck merch.
A ton of Duck merch. Even Frank Angones is complaining about the cost on his wallet.
It's to the point where I did a serious review on socks for kids today.
And the girls are very excited about those socks. They asked if we could go to Target. Check out the review on DuckTalks.com. Target socks.
So where do you want to start? I mean, we got a lot of Duck merch. Where do you want to start at?
Well, the top of my list are these figures that I am holding in my hand. The Disney Store figures released recently. We had seen that they started to kind of trickle out among the stores, and we were very jealous as we were seeing people all over the country begin to get their hands on these gorgeous figures. Then this morning, we double posted again when we found out that they were available at shopdisney.com. Because that means two things. One, those of you who do not have a Disney store nearby can now get a hold of them. And two, that means those of us who do have a Disney store that did not have them in stock probably received some. And and that was the case. So a quick story. I got off work and drove out to my local Disney store, and I went in and I looked for the case, or for the the Christmas tree shaped display of these figure boxes, and there was only one DuckTales. I grabbed the very last one. I did ask them if they had any more, because I actually went with the full intention of buying two. I asked if they had any more in the back. They checked for me, and they didn't. They also, because they knew me, went ahead and checked to see if they were coming on their next shipment, and they could not confirm that there were more coming on the next shipment. I asked Go ahead.
Probably were. But they definitely were.
They probably were. They just, I got my one. They were okay with that. No, that she said she could, that she didn't see them on there, but that didn't mean that they weren't going to be on the next shipment. I don't know what that means, but she did tell me that they received 2 cases of these figures. That was a total of 24 units on Friday. So by Monday evening, they had sold through all 24.
Jeez.
That sounds like a success to me.
Well, from what I've been hearing, a lot of just Disney Afternoon and even the new DuckTales stuff has been selling like crazy, which is definitely really good for the show and really good for just a more upcoming merchandise from Disney.
Yeah, the figures are really high quality too, and I was surprised to see that this brand new batch of DuckTales figures were included in their discount, because Disney does a 2 for $20 deal for these playset collectible figures instead of the regular price, which is $15 a piece. So if you can find 2 that you like you were trying to get 2, one for you and I'm guessing one for your kids to play with, that's a great bargain for that.
So I picked up another box of I think it was the Tangled series that we already had, and I will return it and exchange it, because that's what they told me to do. So I will eventually get them, because the sale ends on Sunday, apparently. And since we did not know whether or not they would get a shipment before then, we just did that. So yeah, their quality is great. I mean, we've been buying these figures, I don't know what they're called, the boxes of figures, for years. My girls have always enjoyed getting them. And we, get them for birthdays. They've been on birthday cakes. They've been in stockings. It's just, $10 when you find them on sale for 5, 6, 7 figures to play with, and they're all together. So you get a set. You've got all the figures to play together to tell your little story and whatever you're going to do. And we've been buying these for a long time, and these are some of the best quality I've ever seen. And I was looking around because I was trying to decide, okay, do I buy another box for the girls, or do I, do like they said and buy something that I can trade later? They didn't really have anything at the time that I thought that the girls would really want, so I won. And I was impressed with the quality, though, because I hadn't looked all that closely at all the other figures the girls had. These are really good. Eric is asking if they could have ordered them for me and had them sent to the store. I did ask. I'm trying to think what I asked. I asked if I could go ahead and buy them, and they set it aside for me, or do an order, and she said they don't do things like that. So
really, I've gone to the store, and maybe if they didn't have it in stock, or they're out of stock, where they've given me a coupon for a free shipping code at Disney Store, or they've ordered it from the store to have shipped to my house.
Yeah, they've done that for us before as well. They did that for us one Christmas on some items, and we have received the free shipping. I didn't ask for the free shipping because I was okay with coming back in the store later and picking mine out, as opposed to having it delivered and then just having what I get. But honestly, the paint applications on these are really good. I mean, they're as good as I would expect, from these figures. There's just a few little marks and a dropping launch pad. There's just a few, poor launch pad, few little marks here or there.
That's kind of funny how Launchpad crashed there.
Launchpad crashed. Yeah. He's weighted funny. He's really top heavy. I don't know how the dude walks around all day. But yeah, these are awesome. I recommend getting them. And we are unofficially expecting a free shipping sale coming up for them soon anyway. But that may fall, just based on the time of year, but that may fall after the buy one, get one, or it's not buy one, get one, but buy two for 10 each. Who knows?
Weren't we thinking 4th of July for that?
Correct. Yeah, that'd be this Wednesday.
Memorial Day, 4th of July, they usually have that free ship code. So maybe you're only 1 or 2 days away from that. That saves a lot of money. That's like $6 there. So we'll definitely let you know when we see it.
Eric's asking, they just did free shipping last week. Do we think they'll do it this Wednesday? We think it's possible just based off of experiences in the past. Like I said, nothing official on that, but we will keep an eye out for it. Recommend, if you're looking to buy these, it'd be a good time. Well, I'll put up a review on these soon before my girls really, put the scuff marks to them. They've already been playing hard with these tonight. It was really cool. I recorded part of their play, and if it's something that I can actually use, I may put that out there on something. Because it was a lot of fun. Poor Webby. She got into all kinds of trouble. Now, for some exciting news that we've been waiting on, because we had heard rumors and we'd seen, behind-the-scenes pictures of computer screens that indicated this was going to happen. But last week, it was revealed that Funko will have Tailspin Pops. Now, I can't remember. Was this a leak or was this official? This was official, right?
This is a leak.
Oh, it's a leak. Okay.
Which usually after something gets leaked and Funko gets a hold of it, they will do an official announcement. So I'm expecting something this week or next week.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be good because we don't have the release date yet. And then sometimes they have additional characters that weren't leaked that we get surprised with. It's rare, but sometimes they'll have something up their sleeves.
These look great. You did a blog on these at DuckTalks.com. Let's see how many times I can say our website tonight on the show. I've got to do it 30 times. Has anybody been counting these so far? No? Okay. Well, we'll just say that was like 15.
Yeah, so in this particular wave, they have Baloo, Louie, Rebecca Cunningham, which is always nice to see her get some merch as well. And then we got Cloud Kicker and Shere Khan, which is it's kind of surprising to see Shere Khan get a figure, but not Don Carnage, which I think he was more in the episodes than the other ones. But Shere Khan was included in a mystery mini set, so I guess I shouldn't be so surprised that they used him in a Funko Pop as well. But glad to have him. I love Shere Khan.
They look very similar to the mystery mini molds that they made for Tailspin. They look great though.
Yeah, the head's a little larger.
Yeah,
it's rumored that King Louie is gonna get a. And I don't know if he's not King Louie. Louie's going to get a chase figure variant as well. So usually a chase variant might be like 1 in every 6 Louies that are in a box, in a case, will be a variation. So maybe he's wearing a different outfit, or maybe he's doing something as simple as holding a coconut. It's just going to be a different one than the rest of them. Those chase figures are pretty hard to find just because there's so many Funko hunters out there and collectors that try to sell, find characters and flip them. So hopefully we can get our hands on that one.
No indication who the exclusive would be through?
Well, it's not exclusive. It's a chase, so it's like a 1 in 6 type of thing.
So they do. I'm new to Funko. They do chases without them being exclusives.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'll be one of them will have a special yellow sticker on it that says Chase. And everybody that goes to the store and sees that will buy it, whether they like Tailspin or not, just to resell it or trade it. But if you're lucky enough to find one, they're pretty cool looking and good to have. So we'll see what this Louis Chase is whenever they make their official announcement. Hopefully this week or next week.
I see a lot of people just on Reddit how they order Pops and then they order them from like Amazon and get Chases in the mail. They're like super lucky to get that, but a lot of times since Amazon doesn't have like an actual storefront, you have a better chance of randomly getting one from like a retailer like that.
Yeah, Josh, didn't you get a Chase Negatron in your Disney Afternoon action figures?
Yeah.
So that was really cool. Yeah, you're right. I've never actually seen a Chase in the store. I have a couple in my collection, but that's only because I've actually purchased them at a higher price or traded them or something for them or got lucky, like you said, and ordered something online, and they just happened to pick the Chase for the one that they sent me.
Wasn't it James Silvani who also got a Chase Negatron through Amazon?
Yeah, and it's funny because he's like, I just wanted the regular one.
Right, so now I got to buy another.
Yeah.
Yeah, these look great. I love the Baloo. Baloo's always been a beloved character of mine. Jungle Book, Tailspin. It's probably my biggest reason why I enjoyed Tailspin was because he was a favorite character. Probably one of the first Disney songs that my girls learned was Bare Necessities.
Yeah, it's funny. You could just look at that Baloo figure and all of a sudden in your head, without even looking at you, it's speaking to you and you're singing the Tailspin song.
Mm-hmm. You're going to have to...
We'll definitely help people when that comes out. We'll let everybody know if there's any exclusives and help the community out and encourage everybody to go buy them, because if you buy them, then maybe Don Carnage will get made or him.
Or Molly.
Yeah, Molly would be great.
Danger Girl.
And then I feel like after this, the next great ones to come out would be Rescue Rangers or Gummi Bears after the resurgence of that from this next episode, DuckTales.
Yeah, the Rescue Rangers.
Have to have.
Go ahead, Josh.
I was going to say I'll have to have Rescue Rangers.
The other big thing in Funko news was the 10-inch Uncle Scrooge Swimming in Money pop is finally hitting Target stores. And I was lucky to grab one of those the other day. Put a really great review on our DuckTalks blog detailing that figure. And it's pretty cool because a lot of the different Funko boards have seen that review and have been posted about it.
Yeah, so did you hear that they had one, or did you just stop by to see and they happened to have it?
So usually everything hits Josh's side of the country first. He gets everything first on the West Coast, and then they trickle over to the East Coast. And there's a website called BrickSeek. A lot of people use it for Funko Pops or Legos. And this is something you could use if you find like a UPC code for Walmart or a DPCI code for Target. You can actually do a Target inventory and save yourself the hassle from going to the stores and then look for everything within like 50 miles or so of your zip code. And I did that one day, and lo and behold, there's a Target that's like 2 miles from my house, and it said it was limited stock. So I went over there, and they actually had one, and they hide them behind the electronic department's desk. So it was just sitting behind there. You didn't know what you were looking for, you never found it, but I was hunting for it. So luckily I got it, and it's magnificent. It's huge and looks great on the shelf, and especially next to, this is the third mold of this they've made. They made a regular standard edition and a mystery mini as well. But it's fantastic. If you have the shelf room, I definitely recommend hunting it down.
I can only imagine Steve's room being just all shells for as much stuff he's got.
That's how I imagine it will eventually look like. Right now, they're all just sitting on a desk, like completely crowded and ridiculous looking. But once I get, I plan on having one of my walls dedicated to the Disney Afternoon Pops, and they're all being baseball. One of the best places, I'm an out-of-box collector, and one of the best ways to do that is to buy these from Michael's. They sell these bat display cases for baseball bats, and you could fit, like, I believe 12 or 13 Pops in one of those, and it's like a glass case that's really nice, and you can start hanging those on the walls. That's how I'm going to definitely display the DuckTales, Tailspin, Darkwing Duck Pops, and just keep going as long as they add more Disney episodes.
You've got quite the collection. I've still got mine in the on our. We got one bookshelf that we have our Blu-rays, and there's also books on there, but it's mostly Blu-rays and all of my Pops now.
Yeah,
still in the box, just because I haven't.
You were like, I'm not going to get any Pops. I'm not going to go that route. Now you're like, give me for my Clone Wars, Star Wars. I'm not going to get them. Yeah, you get it.
I actually think what I said was I would not get into Pops until they made Chuck Pops.
Got it.
And I did get my Chuck Pops, but then Disney Afternoon, it was Darkwing Duck. That's the one that broke me. So, but yeah,
like
check
chips. Once you get one, you can't stop. Crazy.
Yeah, the DuckTales. I had to have the collection. So, hey, another surprising Duck merch item here: the JCPenney line. Now, this was we got a tip on this. Was that Pink Pearl Apple?
Certainly was.
So Pink Pearl Apple pointed out to us that JCPenney's has some duck merch, and I was not expecting this. There's a backpack, a t-shirt, a cotton t-shirt. There's a lunchbox, and some sleepwear. All very cool. And I did a blog on that, so you can check it out. Prices are there for these. And I thought that the theming was kind of cool because this is very much Team Huey, JCPenney. There's all these Junior Woodchuck rules pasted on everything. The patterns are really cool. And every now and then you'll get this tag that says, "We need a plan, Team Huey."
Yeah, I love the lunchbox. It's the first piece of merchandise that has Glomgold on it. But a lot of people they thought it would look good as a purse or just a regular bag as well. I don't personally bring my lunch to work every day, but I'm thinking about doing that now that I would have a cool bag.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the girls both loved it. Lexi's a big fan of teal, and it looks like, online you can never really tell until you see it in person. But it looks like that might be teal and orange, and I'm guessing that's orange. It looks kind of like red, but I'm guessing it's orange because one of the descriptions, I think it was the pajamas, actually said they were orange, and it looks like it all matches. So a lot of orange and teal possibly, but very cool. We will be looking at those sometime soon. Hey, Jason, I see Jason's in the chat.
Well, the pictures look like the red is the same as color as the hat for Huey, so I don't know how orange things are going to be.
Yeah, and I've wondered that. I've got some close pictures on the blog. I'm pretty sure, I don't know if I put that in the blog or not, but I'm pretty sure it was the pajamas that said that it was orange. I know the backpack's orange with some red. But they all kind of match, so you could go to school in your pajamas carrying this backpack and lunchbox, and it would all match. The t-shirt's a little bit different, and this is probably, and I said this in the blog, this is probably one of my favorite designs for the t-shirts that we've seen so far. Still very Huey oriented because it's got the woodchucks. The woodchucks traditionally have been all of the all three of the nephews. But in this version of the show, it's really just Huey. We saw that in the latest episode. Dewey and Louie, weren't they were not interested in going and earning that cookout badge. But we've also got the Woodchuck guidebook and another Woodchuck rule. And but it's a cool design. I like the character poses and everything. Very in line with what we're seeing out of the characters.
I'm surprised that the Disney store isn't coming out with a backpack as well, because they usually have that for their back to school line.
And they're already putting the backpacks in the stores. Final item. I'm looking through the notes, making sure, but final item on our Duck merch list is the book release for this week. We've got 2 books being released. We've got Solving Mysteries and Rewriting Histories, or I keep saying that wrong. Solving Mysteries and Rewriting History. Fact checked by Huey, Dewey, and Louie and Webby. This is a book that's kind of in-universe written by Scrooge McDuck. It's going to tell stories, and then the kids are kind of correcting his stories. Should be a lot of fun. And we've also got a 2-for-1, 2 books in 1 plus stickers, Living Mummies and Tunnel of Terror. So those come out Tuesday. That's tomorrow for us. Most likely yesterday for you. Podcasting. So let's get into this week's episode. So this episode's titled Day of the Only Child. And another great episode. Before we get to it, we're going to do our 30-second recap of the episode, and then we'll talk about our favorite moments. All right, randomizer is set. 1 to 3. Josh, you get to pick.
Can I go back to my old number 3?
You can go to number 3. Pirate?
I'm number 2.
Number 2. And it is number 1. All right. So I've got to pull up my stopwatch.
At least we know it's really random and you're not cheating because you keep.
I know. You know, I don't know how it keeps happening, but it does. And it's every time anyway, it's always 1. It's always 1. I think it's the randomizer. I'm going to check this. Okay, here we go. I'm ready. You ready? Dewey creates Only Child Day. Louie likes it. Huey hates it. Louie wants to use Doofus Drake. Huey needs his brothers to earn a Junior Woodchuck cookout badge, and Dewey has a secret. Huey and the Beagle Boys try to earn the badge. Louie realizes Doofus is a little crazy, and Dewey hosts Dewey tonight. The new security system turns on Dewey. The Beagles devote themselves to Huey, and Doofus imprisons Louie. The brothers come together to save each other. 26.82.
Wow, pretty good.
So anything that I left out that you guys can kind of think of?
Oh, so much.
I only had 30 seconds.
Well, I mean, the best, again, the best part about the whole episode was Launchpad. And when he has this line of how he became the leader of the pack for the Junior Woodchucks.
I didn't get to be a troop leader by bending the rules. I got it by crashing the bus during a camping trip and the other leaders quitting.
So it's really funny that that every line he has is just golden lines that he gets. It's so funny, and yeah, I like that part. DT-87 was the name of the robot from the beginning and towards the end, and that is a reference to the security system and also DuckTales 1987. We also had Bubba made an appearance, the Bubba statue with the orange hair and Bubba's fur that he has, his coat in the Dewey Tonight episode. And I also saw that Ben Schwartz originally wrote for the David Letterman show, so that's kind of like a throwback to him with that Dewey Do Tonight show.
Live from McDuck Manor, home to the most celebrated duck in Duckburg, and also Scrooge McDuck, it's Dewey the Night! Tonight, laughs, thrills, a visit from Monsieur Saucy. And as always, the Dew Crew House Band! And now, the man of the hour,
Frank Angona said that was some of the most fun he's had with him in the recording booth to date, and Schwartz's response was challenge accepted.
I also think that I've seen a lot of people's reviews on this episode. I believe that it's more of a middle of the pack episode for me. I know they wanted to get Doofus out there and to do his episode. It's great that it was a tribute. Everybody said he was pretty freaky, but he was kind of freaky in the old classic as well. So I thought it was funny how they had a couple of throwbacks where it looked like he was super doof at some point with the blanket that he had around him.
Oh, I totally didn't catch that, but you're right.
With the cape, that was good. People are starting to think that Dewey's getting too much attention, and you want to see more Huey and Louie character development. I saw a couple of the comments on Twitter about that, which I would love to see Louie and Huey do some more stuff. Huey was great I know you had even said, Mitch, that you thought you could watch a whole episode about the Junior Woodchucks and Huey.
Yeah, I felt like because the episode kind of had 3 segments. They each had about 10 minutes, a little less. And I felt like each of those segments with each of the boys could have been a full episode. I was really enjoying the woodchuck part. Louie and Doofus just kind of creeped me out. But Josh, what'd you think about the episode?
I loved the Huey part. Big surprise. I just thought it was really cool to see the woodchucks again. And then it was just funny how he kind of turned the Beagle Boys against one of the other brothers who was trying to capture and kidnap Huey. But he kind of he turned the Beagle Boys doing the woodchuck way, and how they were always, I forget which woodchuck code that he used, but it kind of gave them a sense of purpose that they didn't have before, because they were never always helping one of the other brothers do something, and never really being a part of a group kind of thing. And that's the part I like that a lot. And then Dewey, part with Doofus. Doofus was really crazy, but it was kind of a neat little turn that they twist that they gave Doofus, and I'm kind of curious to see what they're going to do with him in the future.
I feel like we nailed it the other day. Where we called it. Even Mitch, didn't you say that we thought he was going to be spoiled and going against Louie, and so it was a cool little twist there, and I like how in the portraits you could see the innocent Dewey, Doofus that we all knew from the original classic episode. Right. And then he kind of morphed into the other one, and he kind of
when he comes
out of the painting like a worm or something.
Yeah, when he kept saying "friend present."
Yeah, friend present. That's funny.
So one of the parts that I wrote down as one of my favorite parts, and this is a character thing for Huey, because when we said early on, I felt like Dewey was my favorite early on. I still think Dewey's my favorite, but Huey continues to grow on me. And when the Beagle Boys show up and Launchpad's because the whole issue is he needs 2 other people, and his brothers won't do this with him, so he's trying to talk Launchpad and letting him do it alone to earn this woodchuck badge. And Launchpads were like, "Why don't you just use those 2 kids I've never seen before?" And he goes, "Launchpad, those are clearly Beagle Boys."
And what are your names, mysterious woodchucks I've never seen before?
Tim. He's a Timbo.
Launchpad! Those are the Beagle Boys in disguise.
Junior Woodchuck rule number 413. Never speak ill of a fellow woodchuck, unless you don't want that badge.
Possible death? Definite badge. Possible death? Definite badge. Definite badge. Definite badge.
And I just loved that moment, because it was one of those things where you think about all those cartoons we watched growing up, and the bad guy would just put on different clothes or something and pretend to be somebody else, and the main character was like, "That's totally not going to work. I know who you are." And then he looks at Launchpad's like, "Well, do you want the badge or not?" And he goes, "Possible death, definite badge. Possible death, definite badge. Definite badge." I relate with Huey.
I feel like this was a good episode, but could have used.
Oh, Pirate, you went out.
It could use more Glom Gold.
There was a serious lack of Glom Gold.
Serious.
Yeah. The chat is talking about the episode, and we want to make sure we talk about what they're saying. I think the first thing I saw was Jason mentioned that the most important part of the episode was Dewey's guest host on Dewey Tonight, which was Huey. But it wasn't Huey because he had to find someone to play Huey because he didn't think about that. And he grabbed like a Megazord, looked like a Power Rangers or maybe a Voltron toy. And then he played the part of Huey, which was robotic, which was great. And then, Louie shows up a little bit later and he's a lamp. And that was awesome. And everyone, actually, this has been a topic of discussion from the very beginning in the chat. So we've got to talk about this. What was with the umbrella and the walnuts?
Wait, what's that for? What is he going to do with the umbrella and walnuts?
So one of the things that Doofus had that he was going to do is he had walnuts and an umbrella. When Frank was asked about this online today, he said that it was, I don't remember his exact words, but it was so far out there that they've pretty much said they'd never talk about it. Don't know what's happening.
Maybe he throws walnuts at them and he has to use the umbrella to block them.
I do not know. They're not talking.
Yeah, I got nothing.
I'm checking to see. So the Beagle Boys, where they name themselves. So this brought up something for me. We've heard, maybe I'm wrong, but we've heard Burgle. Let me try that again. We've heard Burger Beagle speak in this show before, right? But in this episode, he just kind of mumbles. I thought he's spoken in the episode that gave us all the different Beagle Boys. I don't know why the name of the episode's escaping me, but the one that introduced Lena.
Beagle Boy Bash or something like that?
Yeah, the Birthday Massacre.
Birthday Bash.
Massacre. Yeah, that's it. I thought he spoke in that one when all the Beagles were talking. And I know he's spoken in the comics, because that was one of the comments that I made in my review, was that I think that's the most he's spoken. But he did not speak.
Yeah, he was mumbling on that one, so that was strange. I wonder what the difference was.
Kahuna Potato says, Burger making any sort of noise startles me. So, yeah, I'm with Pirate on this episode. I thought it was a fun episode. It's not the best episode so far. It's not going to take that place for me anyway. And I can say I've only watched this episode one time in its entirety, and when I've tried to turn it on again, the girls have asked me not to turn it on. They don't like Doofus. So I'm going to say it's going to end up falling a little bit lower, but that's okay because it's still a great episode. There's lots of great episodes this season.
You just fast forward through the Doofus parts.
I offered, although I was hoping they would not pay attention so I could watch it because I thought it was funny. Weird, but funny.
I want to try that thing where he has a sundae on top of his head and the straw that just goes straight to his mouth. I'm going to see if that actually works.
Brain freeze. I'm surprised the brain freeze turned his face red and not blue.
Right. Well, I think it was because had we not seen the promo and saw the sundae on his head, that introduction, maybe he was mad. And I think that's what they were going for. Like, Louis doesn't know what's going on with this guy. Well, we're going to get into talking about Frankly Speaking very briefly, even though we have a lot of them. Before we do, we're going to say goodbye to Josh. He's got to run for the evening. And Josh, we appreciate you coming on and talking some DuckTales with us.
Yeah, it was fun. Can't wait for next week to see the next episode of DuckTalks and DuckTales.
in some of our earlier podcasts, we had a segment called Frankly Speaking, because during the hiatus, all we got some weeks were some tweets and some Tumblr posts from Frank Angonis, the co-producer of the show. And that, we were trying to make sure we were providing our audience with anything and everything we could find DuckTales. And then once the show got rolling again, Frank got quiet, I guess because he got busy. And so we've not really focused on any of his communications. But with here lately, there have been some really good ones. So I wanted to bring it back. And I was going to bring it back small, but there's just so many good comments from Frank. And I think it's important for us as a community to hear to read what he has said, to hear what he said, and to talk about it. So here it is. Frank was asked about Doofus, and all of these are going to be centered around the episode this week. All three of them. Talking about how Doofus is creepy and thought it was an interesting turn, and they were interested in why they made the decision to make him spoiled, maybe mentally unstable, and a rich kid. And he said, for this story about the triplets experiencing life without the other two, we wanted to highlight how things could go wrong for them. Huey demanding obedience versus Big Time's ruling through fear. Dewey's desire to be the most special one, meaning no one was there to help him. And what he dealt with was there was no one there to help him. For Louie, we wanted to show why would happen. So, me edit for him. For Louie, we wanted to show what would happen if his greed was unchecked by family. We really wanted his foil to be a version of Anthony in the Twilight Zone episode, It's a Good Life, where everyone lives in fear of an omnipotent kid who no one ever says no to. Someone really unhinged from reality. So that's kind of where the idea came from. I thought that was cool. I love when they pull from pop culture and other forms of media. I think some of the great stuff from this show have come from things like that. And he goes on to say, we also settled on Doofus because he was the one character on original DuckTales that we just did not like as kids. For all the great stuff in that show, it did not have the best record when it came to fat shaming, especially when it came to kids. There are whole episodes that hinge on Doofus's love of pie getting in the way of saving the day, and he was impossibly clumsy to boot. We'd already changed up some other characters to get away from that idea, so we knew we wanted to strip out that element. And trust me, before we made the change, I did a deep dive on the internet to make sure that there wasn't some passionate cult of Doofus that would be devastated by a change to their favorite character in all of fiction. I literally only found a couple of drawings of him falling down and kissing a hamburger. So it was a long answer from Frank, but I like the insight into the direction that they went with the character.
I was just going to agree with you, but...
Oh, come on, just for nostalgia's sake. Absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, it was good to have Doofus back in some shape or form. Good to see that he wasn't glanced over in this. And I can't wait to see all the other ducks that we're going to get included in the rest of the episodes.
Yeah, I get some of the... it's not really outrage, but I guess why some people do disagree with the direction that they went with Gyro. I mean, I get why some people don't like it. I like it. I think it fits the show. Miss Beakley, I've heard some complaints about that. I think Miss Beakley in the show's amazing, and I wish we had more of her. It's one of the reasons why I'm looking forward to the next episode.
Made a great comment too. Somebody, and people are going to complain about everything on the internet.
It's the internet.
So bored nowadays. But somebody made a comment to Frank about how different the character was, and he said something like, that's not even the farthest stretch that we've had or biggest character designs that we had for a classic character. So there's going to be another character coming down the line, I'm sure, from that statement that it was from the old show that we're going to what the heck?
Uh-huh.
What is this redesign?
Yeah. I'm looking forward to see what they do. I liked what they did with Doofus. This isn't my favorite episode, but I do like what they did. It really worked for the episode, and I think it works for the character because I never really felt like I liked Doofus as a character, so it feels right that he's a little odd in this episode. And I think Frank has made comments that none of the lines that Doofus said were lines that he would not have said in the old show. So yeah, I think it worked. Let's look at a couple more. These are a lot shorter, I promise. So is Doofus going to be a reoccurring villain? And Frank said Doofus will return. I'm sorry. So Frank gets it. And then we got, hello Frank, I need to confirm the skeleton with a guitar in Dewey's band was definitely Bubba Duck, right? And Frank answered with spoilers. Because that's Frank's favorite answer. I like it. So yeah, I think it is. And the fact that he said spoilers kind of leads me to think there might be a story there that we get. So I know some fans will be very happy about that.
Yeah, maybe even in our chat room. But yeah, there was definitely some time travel in the classic DuckTales show. So they will be doing that, I'm sure, on this one as well. And they still haven't been to space yet either, which we're waiting for that one. Yeah,
it's just got to happen with all these moon references and Spear of Selene and stuff. I'm expecting it, so we've got a lot in store for us, a lot to happen, and we're looking forward to it. We're going to be here covering it, talking about it, starting these conversations, and participating in the chat. Hey, chat, we'll talk about some of the things you're bringing up once we sign off, because we want to talk about it, but we'll save it for future episodes too. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for us this week. Check out DuckTalks.com. We'll keep you up to date with all the DuckTales news that we can keep up with. You can also follow us on Twitter at DuckTalks, and you can find us individually. I am at Infinirama616.
And I'm at The Pirate Steven.
When you go to DuckTalks.com, make sure you check out the instructions on how to find our Discord chat. That way you can participate with us when we record live, and we'd love to chat with you while we record our podcast. And I think that's it. Get out there and buy those figures and books. Until next time, stay Glom Golden.
Stay Glom Golden.
DuckTalks is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Any sounds, music, or audio clips played on this podcast are the property of their copyright holders.